But can this meditation fulfill the original aim? Can they help us live in peace with our deepest existential threat? Can they help us deal with the fact that we are mortal? My name is Yair Dor-Ziderman, and together with my colleague, Professor Aviva Berkovich-Ohana, and with the generous help of the BIAL Foundation, this is the question we set out to answer. So the first question is, so how do we measure death denial or acceptance of death? Clearly, just asking people is not going to work. We know from the scientific literature that our thoughts and beliefs about death are part of our mortality defense mechanism. So instead, what we did was use a well-known brain paradigm called the visual mismatch response. This paradigm can detect violation to expectations created by sensory repetition. Now, I cannot go into too much detail in this short video, but I will say that we use that it could be any kind of sensory repetition. And in this case, we use faces of participants, faces of strangers, and we coupled it with words, either just negative words or words which were related to death. And the underlying idea was that the brain would balk at processing death and self together, but would have no problem processing death as it relates to the other. And this is exactly what we're able to show. An unconscious denial mechanism working at millisecond resolution, attributing death to the other, but not to oneself, and in this way shielding the self from existential threat. And this is happening already at the level of perception. Okay, and for meditators, so 38 meditators came into our lab, and an MEG machine, and they did the same paradigm. And for these meditators, for these participants, the process was very different. The defense mechanism was simply not there. In fact, we saw a reverse of the brain activity, which indicated an acceptance of death rather than denial of death. And furthermore, it was associated with how much well-being in life they reported. So this was our first finding. Another fascinating result came from crossing this data with some previous data acquired with this same sample, these same meditators. They came to our labs about a year before that for another BIAL-funded project in which we acquired neural phenomenological signatures of a very special state induced by meditation, where they dissolve the sense of self-other, self-world boundary separation. And now these experiences of self-dissolution can and usually are positive, but they can also be not so positive. They can range from blissful and peaceful to actually quite unpleasant and even frightening at times. Putting these two data sets together, we found something truly fascinating. We saw that death acceptance was associated with the valence of such self-dissolution experiences. The more the meditator's brain showed an acceptance of death, the more positive and blissful these self-dissolution experiences were. If you learn to accept death, letting go of the boundaries of self, letting these separations dissolve, become an exhilarating experience. Okay, so these are the results. So we hope this result will inspire further research about the potential of meditation to address our deepest existential concern. Going back to the original aim of the Buddha 2,500 years ago, but also extremely relevant in this day and age in light of this death-phobic culture we live in. So this was our study. And about the BIAL. If I had to define the BIAL in one word, it would be freedom. Freedom to investigate what really matters. Thank you.